Is this some kind of joke? Commander Yarek's mandibles clattered in disbelief as he reviewed the newly updated galactic survey data. The holographic display floated before him, a shimmering projection of a star system he had dismissed as unremarkable. Except for one thing. The third planet from its sun, Earth, had just been reclassified as a Class 14 Deathworld. Yarek's claws tapped against the control panel as he zoomed in on the planet. Blue oceans, green continents, and a thick atmosphere of nitrogen and oxygen. Nothing about it screamed Deathworld to him. And yet the Council's classification system was rarely wrong. Class 14 meant extreme danger, a place where even the hardiest life forms were in constant peril. Few worlds in the galaxy reached such a status, and those that did were known for being nearly uninhabitable by most sentient species. How could this be? Yarek muttered, his voice a low rumble. The last survey marked Earth as a Class 7. What could possibly have changed? He opened the detailed report, his compound eyes scanning the text with growing incredulity. The planet was home to a species called humans, a race of bipedal primates. Their civilization was advanced enough to have achieved space travel, but not much more. There were no signs of massive, planet-altering catastrophes or environmental collapses since the last survey. The natural predators, though varied, were not particularly exceptional compared to other Deathworlds. Yet something had clearly triggered this sudden upgrade in danger. The door to his command chamber slid open, and Captain Reinach entered, his four eyes blinking in sync as he approached. "Commander, you requested an update on the Earth reclassification?" Yarek didn't look up, still engrossed in the data. "Yes, Captain. I want to know how this mudball of a planet just jumped 7 levels in threat assessment. Have you seen this?" Reinach folded his arms, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking softly as he moved closer. "I have. The initial reports are disturbing, to say the least." "Disturbing? Try confounding," Yarek retorted, his voice betraying a mix of frustration and curiosity. "The humans have been on the radar for ages, but they've never been a threat. Primitive? Yes. Resilient, perhaps. But Class 14? That's beyond reason." "Not according to the Council," Reinach replied. "Apparently they've uncovered some new evidence that redefines everything we thought we knew about Earth. It seems the humans themselves are the primary reason for the reclassification." Yarek finally tore his gaze from the holographic display to stare at his second-in-command. "The humans? Explain." Reinach activated his own console, pulling up a series of video feeds and scientific logs. It turns out that the humans have adapted to a staggering array of environmental challenges that would wipe out most species. They thrive in extreme cold and heat. Their immune systems can fend off some of the deadliest pathogens we've ever encountered, and they possess a psychological resilience that's almost unnatural. "Psychological resilience?" Yarek echoed, his tone skeptical. "Yes, Commander. The report highlights several instances where humans have endured situations that should have broken their minds. War, famine, natural disasters. They not only survive, they adapt and grow stronger. Their capacity for recovery is unparalleled." Yarek leaned back in his chair, his mandibles twitching thoughtfully. "I've heard of species with strong survival instincts before, but nothing like this. How could we have underestimated them for so long?" "Because they don't appear dangerous at first glance," Reinach answered. "Their physical appearance is deceptive. Soft, flesh-based organisms without natural armor or weapons. But beneath that exterior lies a species that has turned its environment's hostility into an advantage. They are, quite literally, the ultimate survivors." Yarek grunted, still not entirely convinced. "Surviving is one thing, Captain. But what about their offensive capabilities? Are we to believe that their classification as a Deathworld species is based purely on defense?" Reinach hesitated, his eyes narrowing as he selected a particular file. "There is one more aspect that the Council has taken into account. Something that has pushed the reclassification beyond what we would normally consider. It's their potential for conflict." "Go on," Yarek urged. Reinach displayed a series of images: burned landscapes, shattered cities, and the twisted remnants of advanced machinery. These are records of human wars. The last century alone has seen conflicts that, by our standards, would be cataclysmic. Their weapons technology, while not the most advanced in the galaxy, is wielded with a ruthlessness and efficiency that rivals even the most warlike species. The humans have a capacity for destruction that is alarming. Yarrick studied the images, his expression unreadable. You're telling me that this reclassification is based on the potential threat they pose, rather than the immediate danger? Exactly, Renak confirmed. The Council believes that if humanity were to direct its full focus outward, beyond their own planet, they could become a significant galactic power. They have the will, the resilience, and now the classification to match. A Class 14 Deathworld species is not something to take lightly. Yarrick's claws drummed against the armrest of his chair, a habit he had developed over years of command. This changes things. We need to reassess our approach to this planet and its inhabitants. If they truly are as dangerous as the Council suggests, then any contact must be handled with the utmost caution. Agreed, Renak replied. I've already ordered a full review of all available data on human behavior and technology. We need to understand them better if we're to avoid a potential catastrophe. Good, Yarrick said, his voice taking on a more authoritative tone. I want daily updates on your progress, and prepare a briefing for the rest of the command staff. I want everyone on this ship to be fully aware of what we're dealing with. Renak nodded and made his way to the door, but before he exited, he paused. Commander, one last thing. There's a rumor circulating that the humans might already be aware of their reclassification. If that's true, they could see it as a challenge. Yarrick's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Let's hope that rumor is just that, a rumor. The last thing we need is for these humans to start proving the Council right. Renak left the chamber, leaving Yarrick alone with his thoughts. The holographic projection of Earth continued to hover before him, its serene appearance a stark contrast to the information he had just received. Class 14, Yarrick murmured to himself. What have we awakened? The bridge of the Rakarzan was unusually quiet as Commander Yarrick reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The crew, typically engaged in the usual hum of routine operations, seemed to share his unease. The recent reclassification of Earth as a Class 14 Deathworld had not only shocked the Galactic Council, but had also put every military vessel, including his, on high alert. Yarrick's gaze flicked to the main viewport, where the distant glow of Earth's sun was barely visible. They were still a few light years away from the Sol system, but that didn't stop the growing tension among the crew. What had started as a standard reconnaissance mission had turned into something far more dangerous. Commander, Captain Reinach's voice broke the silence. He stepped forward, holding a datapad filled with new data. We've just intercepted a series of human communications. It appears they've detected our long-range sensors. Yarrick turned sharply. How could they possibly detect our scans? Our technology should be far beyond their comprehension. That's what we believed, sir, Renak replied, his tone measured but tinged with concern. But it seems the humans have developed or acquired some form of detection capability we didn't anticipate. They're referring to our presence as unidentified objects, but their response is surprisingly calm, almost as if they've dealt with this before. Yarrick frowned, his mind racing. Have they initiated any defensive actions? Renak shook his head. Not yet, but they have mobilized a number of their orbital platforms and launched several craft into low orbit. They're monitoring, not attacking. Yarrick leaned back in his chair, processing this new information. They're cautious. They don't strike out blindly. That makes them more dangerous, not less. Their restraint is notable, Renak agreed, but it's also unsettling. Most species, when confronted with something unknown and potentially hostile, react with fear or aggression. The humans are simply watching. Watching and waiting, Yarrick said, finishing the thought. They're gauging us, trying to understand what we are and what we want before making a move. That's a level of strategic thinking we hadn't accounted for. Renak nodded. It's possible they've learned from their past conflicts. According to our intelligence, they've been through multiple global wars, each one pushing their technology and tactics further. They've been honing their skills for centuries. Yarrick's eyes narrowed as he considered the implications. This planet could be more than just a death world. It could be a breeding ground for some of the most formidable strategists in the galaxy. Before Renak could respond, the comms officer interrupted. Commander, we're receiving a direct transmission from Earth. It's on multiple frequencies, all aimed at our known Galactic Council channels. Yarrick stiffened. They're trying to communicate with us directly? It appears so, sir, the officer confirmed. The message is in their primary language, but our translators have already decrypted it. Put it on the main screen, Yarrick ordered, bracing himself for what was to come. The holographic display flickered, and the image of a human male appeared. He was seated behind a large desk, his posture relaxed but his expression serious. The insignia on his uniform identified him as a high-ranking military official, though Yarrick wasn't familiar with the specific designations. "Attention, unidentified vessel," the human began, his voice calm and measured. "This is General Markov of the United Earth Defense Force. We are aware of your presence in our vicinity and wish to extend an opportunity for peaceful contact. We mean you no harm but will defend ourselves if necessary. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Yarrick stared at the image, taken aback by the human's composed demeanor. There was no sign of fear, no hint of desperation. This was not the response of a species cowering before a superior force. It was the response of one that had faced threats before and was prepared to do so again. "Interesting," Yarrick muttered. "They approach this with caution, but not submission. They've calculated the risks and decided to meet us on even ground." Reineck stepped closer. "Should we respond, Commander? The Council's directives suggest avoiding direct contact, but this might be an opportunity to learn more." Yarrick considered the options. Direct contact with a species as unpredictable as humans was risky, but it could also provide invaluable insights. The Council's reclassification had been based on incomplete data. This could be their chance to fill in the gaps. "Send a response," Yarrick decided, "but keep it vague. We don't want to reveal too much until we understand them better." Reineck nodded and moved to the comm station, relaying the commander's orders. Moments later, the message was sent, a carefully crafted statement of observation and non-hostility. It was the diplomatic equivalent of a poker face, revealing nothing but expressing a willingness to engage. As they waited for the human's reply, Yarrick couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was just the beginning. The humans, despite their relatively young age as a species, were showing signs of being far more formidable than anyone had anticipated. If they continued to develop at their current rate, they might soon surpass the expectations of even the most conservative assessments. "Commander," Reineck said after a brief pause, "the humans have acknowledged our response. They've offered to establish a secure communication link for further dialogue." Yarrick gave a slow nod. "They're trying to establish trust, or at least some form of understanding. This could work to our advantage, or it could lead us into a trap." "Do you think they're capable of such deception?" Reineck asked. "Given what we've learned, I wouldn't underestimate them," Yarrick replied. "These humans are unlike any species we've encountered before. We need to proceed with caution, but also with the knowledge that we're dealing with an entity that's both highly adaptive and unpredictable." He looked out at the distant star that held Earth in its orbit, a small dot in the vastness of space. "Prepare the ship for closer reconnaissance. We need to see Earth up close and personal. Only then will we truly understand the nature of this death world and its inhabitants." The decision made, the rocker Zahn began its slow, methodical approach toward the Sol system, its crew on edge and its commander filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. The rocker Zahn glided through the blackness of space, its cloaking systems engaged as it neared Earth. Commander Yarrick stood at the observation deck, watching the blue planet grow larger on the screen. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were venturing into unknown territory, a place where even the best-laid plans could unravel. "Commander, we've reached the outer edge of the human's orbital defense perimeter," Reineck reported, his voice steady but tense. "Their satellites have detected our presence, but they've made no move to intercept." Yarrick frowned. "They're waiting to see what we'll do. They're testing our intentions. Or perhaps they're luring us in," Reineck suggested. "We've already seen that they prefer to observe before they act. This could be a trap." "Perhaps," Yarrick mused, his eyes fixed on the planet below. "But we need to understand what makes this world so dangerous. We need to see it for ourselves." "Commander, incoming transmission," the COMM's officer interrupted. "It's General Markov again." Yarrick turned to the main screen as the human's image appeared. This time, Markov's expression was more intense, his eyes narrowing slightly as he spoke. Unidentified vessel, you have entered our defensive perimeter. We are aware of your capabilities, and we advise you to withdraw immediately. However, if you wish to engage in peaceful dialogue, we are open to negotiations. But be warned, any aggressive action will be met with force. Yarek leaned forward, his mandibles clicking softly in thought. The humans were drawing a line in the sand, making it clear that while they preferred peace, they were prepared for war. It was a calculated move, one that put the decision squarely in Yarek's hands. Respond, Yarek ordered, his voice calm. Inform them that we mean no harm and that we wish to learn more about their world, but make it clear that we will defend ourselves if necessary. Renak relayed the message, and the crew waited in tense silence as the response was sent. The moments ticked by, each second feeling like an eternity. Then the screen flickered as Markov replied. Very well, the human said, his tone measured. You may proceed, but under strict conditions. You will remain under our surveillance at all times, and any deviation from the designated flight path will be considered hostile. Do you agree to these terms? Yarek's mandibles twitched in amusement. The humans were playing a dangerous game, but they were playing it well. We agree, he replied. Markov nodded. Then welcome to Earth. The transmission ended, and the Rakarzan began its descent toward the planet. As they entered the atmosphere, the ship's sensors went into overdrive, analyzing every detail of the environment. The readings were astonishing. Earth conditions were harsh, even by Deathworld standards. The gravity was stronger than average, the atmosphere dense with unpredictable weather patterns, and the planet's surface teeming with life forms that range from the minuscule to the colossal. These readings are off the charts, Renak murmured, his eyes wide with disbelief. No wonder they've survived here for so long. This world has been shaping them, pushing them to evolve into the ultimate survivors. But there's more to it than just survival, Yarek added, his voice low. The humans have thrived in this environment. They've built civilizations, advanced technologies, and now they're reaching out to the stars. They've taken the harshest conditions and turned them into strengths. The ship's sensors picked up a large human settlement below, one of their major cities, a sprawling metropolis that pulsed with energy and life. It was a testament to human ingenuity, a place where millions lived and worked despite the planet's inherent dangers. Commander, Renak said, his voice urgent, we're detecting unusual energy signatures. It looks like they're powering up some kind of weapon system. Yarek's eyes narrowed. They're preparing for a potential attack. They don't trust us, and they're ready to defend their world. The ship's alarm suddenly blared, and the view screen flashed red. Commander, multiple projectiles detected. They've locked onto us, the weapons officer shouted. Yarek's mandibles flared in alarm. Evasive maneuvers! Prepare to… Before he could finish the command, the ship shook violently as the first projectiles hit their shields. The energy readings spiked, and the crew struggled to maintain control. Commander, we're taking heavy fire, Renak yelled over the din. The humans aren't holding back. They're going all out. Yarek's mind raced. The humans had made their decision. They were not going to allow an alien vessel to hover above their world without demonstrating their full capabilities. And those capabilities were terrifying. Return fire, but target their weapon systems only, Yarek ordered. We need to disable them, not destroy them. We can't afford to escalate this any further. The Rakarzan's weapons activated, sending precise energy blasts toward the sources of the human attacks. The ship's advanced targeting systems pinpointed the most critical points, and within moments, several of the human weapon platforms were disabled. But the humans responded quickly, adapting to the alien technology, and redoubled their efforts. Shields at 50%, the tactical officer reported. We can't take much more of this. Yarek gritted his teeth. This was not how he had intended the mission to go. The humans were proving to be a formidable foe, one that would not back down easily. Commander, they've sent another transmission, the comms officer called out. On screen, Yarek commanded, his voice tense. General Markov appeared once more, his face set in a grim expression. This is your final warning. Leave our planet now, or we will use every means at our disposal to destroy you. Yarek hesitated, weighing his options. The humans were serious, and he had to respect that. They had shown incredible resilience, both in their world and in their response to his ship. To push further would be to risk total annihilation for both sides. "Pull back," Yarek ordered finally. "We've learned enough. We know now what the humans are capable of." The rocker Zahn began its ascent, moving away from the planet and back into the safety of space. As they cleared Earth's orbit, Yarek watched the blue-green sphere recede on the view screen. "They are indeed worthy of their classification,